Hello and good afternoon, friends. Today I want to talk to you about something that happens from time to time, especially when people have a well, and that is going to be what is going to be causing my well pump to constantly be running or cycling, right? Let's get into it. So this is an issue that comes up from time to time, and generally it's going to be on a well that's a little bit older, right? I would usually recommend somewhere in the ballpark of 15, 20 years, right? An older system. So what happens? On a normal well pump, right, the pump's only going to be on when there's either a call for water, like if you have a constant pressure system, or if the pressure switch has a low enough pressure to where it's engaged, right? Most pressure switches, at least in our area, are set to 40-60. Now, sometimes you'll get 20-40, sometimes you'll get 30-50, but most commonly in our area, it's a 40-60 switch, meaning at 40 psi, the pump will engage and it will continue to pump until it gets to 60 psi, at which point the pump will disengage, right? So you'll constantly have an up or down. Every now and again you get something a little bit different, but we're not gonna go into that. Today we're gonna focus on 40-60. So you're in the basement, you're doing laundry, right? And you hear the pump click on. All right, well, no big deal. You're running a little bit of laundry, and let's just say that the laundry machine's done. It's been an hour. You come back downstairs, water's not running in the house. You hear it click again. You start folding the laundry. Maybe you're doing something else in the basement. You hear it cycle again, and again, no water's running. So what could possibly be going on? Now, when this is happening, this means that you have a loss of pressure somewhere in the system. So the first and easiest place to check is in the house, right? As the pump pushes water into the home, there should be a check valve in the house just before the pressure tank. That check valve is to prevent water from exiting the home. Now, if you have a check valve, turn the water to the house off, start a stopwatch, make a measurement of wherever the pressure is. Let's just say it's at 50 or it's at 25 psi. You make a measurement, right? You have the water off to the house. You start your stopwatch. Or sorry, not 25 psi. Let's just say it's 45 psi, so the pump hasn't kicked on. You have the water turned off to the house. You've got your check valve. You got your stopwatch. You're watching this tank for 5-10 minutes, right? You come back and you see that you lost 5 psi. That means that the check valve in the home is not properly seating, and it's allowing water to go back into the well, and then basically you replace the check valve in the house. Problem solved. Except for, it's not really the entire problem, right? So if the check valve in the house is also not operational, well, if water is exiting the home, it's going to be going somewhere. So that either means you have a leak in the drop line, a leak at the pitless adapter, or the check valve above the well pump is also not operational, at which point now you need to fix something else plus the check valve in the home. Now, let's just say, for sake of argument, the check valve in the house is fine. Usually how you'll notice that you've got an issue, you're not going to hear the pump cycle on and off, so it's kind of not really helpful for this particular conversation, but you'll get like a aeration in the water, like it'll bubble, it'll spurt, it'll stutter when the pump turns on. So it'll be more of an aesthetic annoyance, or it'll look weird, sound weird. Usually that means that the check valve in the well is no longer functional, or you have some way that the water's escaping, and the check valve in the house is fine, right? But again, different conversation, different story. So we know the house check valve's not working. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to go outside. And what we're going to want to look for is we're going to look between the home and the well to see if there's any kind of discoloration or any kind of saturation in the grass. It's easier to do this in the middle of the August or July where it hasn't rained for a while, but you can do this from time to time in the winter too. Like for example, if you have a couple inches of snow on the ground, except for one spot close to the well, guess what? You got running water, right? So we walk from the house to the well, basically going where the supply line should be. If we see water, that's kind of helpful. If we don't see water, we move on to the next step. The next step is to look at the pitless, right? So we either look right around the well, pop the lid open, and look inside of the well, right? If you look inside the well, you'll see this little circular deal with this little hook that sits onto the plate that basically holds the pump up. That's the pitless adapter. If you look at that, sometimes you'll see water dripping out of there. There's a little gasket in there that the water can be dripping out of. There's also the connection point between the drop line, which is the pipe to the pump, and the pitless adapter. That could also be a leaking point. Let's just say that that's not the problem. Now it gets a little bit more complicated and a little bit more tedious, right? As a homeowner, This is probably where most people will stop and they'll call somebody. But if you wanted to, basically what you would do is you just pull the pump up. They're heavy, so make sure you have somebody with you to help you, especially if it's a super deep well. If it's a super deep well, also make sure you secure the safety rope, so that way if it falls or breaks or whatever, you have a way of getting it out, right? Fishing a well pump out from a well kind of sucks. And it's expensive because somebody has to sit there and fight with it for a while to get the thing out. So we pull the pump up, and then you're going to look at the check valve, right? Usually what I recommend is if you're already pulling it up, you may as well just replace the thing. Check valves are only like 20-30 bucks. They're really not that expensive. So if you're going to pull it out, you may as well just replace it and not have to worry about it again, right? So if you still have water running at that point, you definitely have a leak somewhere in the supply line, and at that point now you got to figure out where is that leak, or just replace the supply line. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know below. Have you ever had a leak in your line, or have you ever had the well pump just constantly running all the time, even when you're not running water in the house? Leave a comment below. Share your story. Tell somebody else about what you're going through and what you might have seen, right? Maybe your story will help somebody else go through whatever they're dealing with and find the right course of action, right? I usually post these videos once a day on the World of Well and Septic. I hope that this was useful. If you enjoy videos like this, hit that like button, hit subscribe. I have more videos posted every day, right? Until next time, guys.